Role is the 50th anniversary of the GBC, founded in 1970. Now we're 2020. So we need to cram 50 years of history in 1 hour. On top of that, this is a 90-minute seminar, which will be given now in 60 minutes. The rest of the times will always be in the evening, which is the longest term. So we'll have to be very fast. And I apologize in advance for that. We probably won't have time for question and answers. So if you have questions, catch me when you see me around. Ready? Steady? Go! Phase 1. Srila Prabhupada's presence. I subdivide this presentation in different phases. Obviously, these are subjective. I chose 4, but other people can have different categorization. 28 July 1970 is the day in which the GBC was founded. And let's see the demographic. Let's see who was on the GBC. There were 34 ISKCON centers, 12 GBCs. Average center for each GBC, 2.83. Three small temples, generally storefronts. Age, 20s and early 30s. Race, 10 white, 1 black. Nationality, American. Seniority in ISKCON, maximum 4 years. Mostly less, in at least one case, 6 months. Ashram status, 10 grihasthas, 1 brahmachari. Sannyasis not allowed to serve on the GBC by Srila Prabhupada arrangement and the instruction. So Srila Prabhupada found the GBC about 40 years into the history of ISKCON. The center's locations: USA 23, Canada 3, Europe 6, and other 2. Most centers were small operations. No congregational communities, no schools, 1 farm. Except from the directional management, the document establishing the governing body commission, Srila Prabhupada's words, these personalities are now considered as my direct representatives. While I'm leaving, they will act as my zonal secretaries, and after my demise, they will be known as executors. The host society, the culture of the end of the 60s, the very beginning of the 70s, Srila Prabhupada did say, it is a fact that the hippies are our best clients. So that gives you an idea of the demographics of ISKCON and of the demographics of the GBC as well. Technology, communication mostly by snail mail. No computers, no mobile phones, no internet, therefore no email, no websites, and no social media. Now fast forward 5 years to 1975. 14 GBCs, zonal assignments listed as either cities or countries, continents. Intention to keep zones manageable. GBC resolution from 75, resolved. GBC has divided zone as follows. Based on recommendation of Srila Prabhupada, the GBC members should have jurisdiction over no more than about 6 temples. Just as a point of comparison, just New Delhi alone today has got 17 temples. So, nonetheless, huge zones are assigned. Hridayananda Goswami, Latin America and the Caribbean. Madhudvisa Swami, Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Fiji, and the Philippines. Gopal Goswami, India, and most of Southeast Asia. Brahmananda Swami, the whole of Africa. Direct decisions on BBT matters. Resolved, Rameshwar Das is appointed as a trustee of BBT. Resolved, the ISKCON Press will be moved to Los Angeles. Direct sannyasis deployment. Trivikram Swami and Tushta Krishna Swami will remain in Mayapur to assist Jayapataka Swami. So this few resolutions give you a flavor of the age, the flavor of the direction and guidance of the GBC of the rest of society, including BBT, including the Sannyas Vrinda. The election idea is dropped. It was in the original document that the temple presidents would elect the local GBC, but that idea is dropped. This is 75. Srila Prabhupada is still present. Resolved, the selection of GBC members is that Srila Prabhupada will nominate. There will be no elections, and the present GBC member will remain. Accountability and legal protection is highlighted. Resolved, an annual oath of allegiance should be signed by each GBC and temple president. Issue starts becoming more complex and international. Resolved, the GBC must resolve the problem. Indian life members are complaining that they are not getting the books due to Indian temples spending BBT funds on maintenance. International collaboration is promoted. Resolved, the GBC member should cooperate to send men to ISKCON Africa. The seed of big data is planted. The idea of keeping track of our devotees, where they are, who they are. Resolved, an information card will be kept on each devotee containing personal information. It will be kept on file at the temple they are staying in, and another copy will be kept by the GBC. Fast forward 3 years to the decade of 1978-1987. This is the second phase we will touch upon. And we call this the phase 2, the decade of the zonal acharyas. How many of you were initiated by one of these 11 gurus? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Me too. So let's see what happens. These are the first 11 gurus in ISKCON. 1978, the first 11 gurus arrogate the power of adding guru. Arrogate, if you are not familiar with the word, it means that they took the power for themselves. And so you'll see that on the 19th March, there is resolution number 16. The GBC will consider each year at Gaurapurnima the appointment of new spiritual masters to be approved by a three-fourth vote. However, for 1978, no new spiritual masters shall be appointed other than the 11 selected by Srila Prabhupada. Of course, we could give a seminar just on this sentence, you understand? Then, what happens? So, in other words, here is the GBC who makes gurus. Clear, no? Now, what happens? 2 days later, a GBC committee will be formed consisting of GBC members who are initiating gurus. They will choose new gurus once per year in Mayapur. This is an amendment to resolution number 16 of March 19. So in 2 days, there is a shift. Now are the gurus who are on the GBC, and at the time all the gurus were on the GBC, that decide. The GBC discusses so many things, but the gurus are made, approved, identified only by the gurus. So it creates a clear demarcation within the GBC. So the acharyas eclipse the GBCs. Look at this group photo. This is the GBC 1978. You may recognize Mayapur. This is the gate, front gate. This is the long building. This is the group photo by the GBC, of the GBC at the time. You may recognize Harisori Prabhu, Bhakti Swarup Damodar, at the time Brahmachari, we have Brahmananda Swami, you have Rupanuga Prabhu, you have Adikesha Maharaj, you have Balavanta Prabhu, you have Jagajivan Prabhu, Jagadish Prabhu, Gopal Krishna Maharaj, at the time still Adhikari, Panchadravida Swami, and so on. That was the GBC in 1978. Now, next photo is another group photo, same place, but is the photo of the 11 Acharyas. So it's the same place, but you can see that now there are 11 Vyasasans, and one may wonder how they constructed 11 Vyasasans in the next 4 months in which Srila Prabhupada left. And you see the symbolism. They are different. They stand out. They have a different presence. They have a different stature. So, and it's not just a question of furniture, but it's a question of the function of the GBC. They would be the ones who decide who becomes a guru and who does not become a guru. So being a non-guru, GBC became being like a second-class citizens of the GBC, both on the body and in the zone. On the body, because you could not vote on who becomes a guru. And in the zone, often, you didn't have disciples. Other people will send their disciples to collect. So you will not have money and you will not have personnel. And some GBCs were not gurus, suffered for that in their service. Fast forward 7 years. As you know, it's unfortunate history, but it's history. And you are the leaders. We need to talk about facts. And some of them started having spiritual problems. Of course, it's understandable. They were young. Many of them took sannyasi quite prematurely. One of them took sannyasi when he had, for instance, a child who was only 9-year-old, which now would not be possible, would not be allowed. But at that time, there was this push. You're guru, therefore you have to become a sannyasi. That was the culture at the time. So fast forward 7 years. So in 85, start a cleanup. These are all from resolutions of the time. Brahmananda Harisori suspended. Adikeshava removed. No books published by Hansaduta or any of his followers should be purchased by ISKCON temples or devotees. The GBC affirms its authority and rejects subservience to the zonal acharya dynamics. 7 years later, the GBC zonal secretary, whether initiating or not, is the ultimate managerial authority within his zone as the official representative of the GBC body. At the same time, what they do, nonetheless, the GBC reconfirms the zonal nature of initiations. When the GBC body gives their blessings to a candidate to initiate, it's for a particular Guru Datta Desha. Refocusing on Srila Prabhupada. Couple of resolutions from 86. In every ISKCON temple, Srila Prabhupada, as the founder Acharya of ISKCON, will have a Vyasasan, which is substantially more prominent than any other Vyasasan. I don't know how many of you were around in 86. How many of you were around in 86? Okay. Maybe 15-20%. You may remember that in the temples, there were 2 Vyasasans. Often the same size. One for Srila Prabhupada, one for the local guru, the zonal acharya. They were not called zonal acharya officially, but that was what they were. So here it says, no, shrink the Vyasasan of the local guru. Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasan should be bigger. Then next year, another step, that there should be no personal seat for gurus in the temple room other than Prabhupada's Vyasasan. So 86, the Vyasasan shrinks. 87, the Vyasasan grows. These are all, see, any movement, religious or secular, gives very great importance to symbologies. The symbols gives a message of who is important, who is less important. So you see the symbology of ISKCON changing. 85, 87, new wave of gurus with a decreasing level of GBC ownership in the process. You see the text, 85. 4 more are empowered to begin giving Diksha initiation. The GBC empowers these devotees to initiate. Next year, 20 more are given blessings and authorizations to take up initiating guru responsibility. So no empowerment, just blessings. Then next year, 87, 13 more are authorized by the GBC body to initiate disciples. No blessings. I'm just saying, the GBC body gradually takes less and less ownership. You say, okay, we give you permission, now your own, cross fingers, you'll do a good service, basically. Then, 87, cleansing. Rameshwar, Bhavananda, and Brahmananda remove the GBC members. Bhagavan's, Harisoris, and Jagajivan's resignation accepted. Panchadravida, expelled from ISKCON. Kirtanananda, expelled from ISKCON. 87, the 50-man committee. How many of you heard about the 50-man committee? 1, 2, 3. Okay, some of you are here for the first time. So, 87, resolved that the GBC authorize a committee to express a simple majority vote of confidence or no confidence in the 17 existing GBC members. See, they shrank to 17 because many left. To propose 10 additional candidates for GBC positions, to propose specific checks and balances to ensure the integrity and purity of the GBC memberships, and make recommendations as to steps for rectifications and improvements for each of the GBC members on a case-by-case basis. I don't know, Prabhu, were you one of the 50 men? You're not. Okay. So, because the GBCs, before that, the Guru, especially on the GBC, had so many problems, so many issues, philosophical, spiritual standards. At one point, the GBC itself authorizes 50 devotees from all over the world. They came up to Mayapur, 87, and they analyzed, they scrutinized, they examined each of the GBCs. I still have the files of all the recommendations, of all the observations. Like, for instance, there was a guru, sannyasi. He was not fallen, but he was dressing in a slightly less sannyasi style. So I remember here in 87, one day he came dressed in really like standard sannyasi dress with banda, because the 50 men come and say, Maharaj, you got to start dressing as a sannyasi. Okay, and many other things. Okay, this is history. 87, new wave of GBCs acting but with voting rights. They were not made full GBCs, but they were given voting rights for that year. Guru Gauranga Prabhu, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, Ganapati Swami, Agrani Swami, Niranjan Swami, Hari Vilas Prabhu, Kavichandra Swami, Yashomatinandan Prabhu, Guru Prasad Swami, Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj, Danavir Prabhu at the time now, Maharaj Shivaram Swami, Bhakti Chara Swami, Gaur Govinda Swami, Vrikodar, and Pritu. Some of them are still GBCs. Some of them may not be GBCs right now, but they're gurus. Some of them left their bodies, some of them left their service, some of them left their ashrams, like that. But again, after this 50 committee, a new wave of GBC. So from 17, they become more than 30. They inherit a discredited GBC with eroded authority and influence. The co-GBC approach is one of the hallmarks, one of the trademarks of that era. The style of having co-GBCs, introduced in 77, explodes in 1987. A lot of zonal assignments now are co-GBC. We have an internal joke. Co means no. In other words, co in some cases means that it's not clear who is responsible. No, you ask for a report to a Maharaj. No, ask my colleague, and then you ask the colleague. No, ask my colleague. He will give you the report. So sometimes this co erodes the responsibility and the presence. And then phase 3, the post-zonal acharya phase. 1988, 2006, we could call it normalization, second eclipse, some good fights. When did you become GBC, Anuttama Prabhu? 1990. Okay, so almost, so this is, we could also call it the Anuttama Prabhu era. No. It was a very important element of normalization, maturization of the. So legislation becomes wordier, more detailed. 3 years of AGM minutes between 75 and 77 at 7,888 words. 3 years of AGM. AGM means annual general meeting, the GBC meeting. 95 to 97, 40,174 words. So legislation becomes more and more legislative sounding. More details. A common pattern, passing resolution, and then forgetting about them. Well, I heard personally GBC say, we discuss so much this proposal, this resolution, then when you get on this flight, you forget everything. And so what happens is that you have a lot of legislation that often nobody reads, nobody knows about, and what to speak of following. So then you have this situation, the second eclipse, gurus seen as ultimate by their disciples. Now that the GBC opened, so to speak, the gates to becoming gurus, and there are dozens and dozens of gurus also who are not GBCs, the devotees, in one sense naturally, in one sense understandably, see their gurus are their authority. So there is this second eclipse. Another aspect of this eclipse is the increased nationalization of ISKCON. The countries become more and more aware of their own identity as a country. Some, we could say, nationalism creeps in ISKCON, and ISKCON really divides into blocks by country. So sometimes you have even this point that the GBC, either as a group or as an individual, doesn't have really much power and doesn't have much influence on the life of devotees. And the devotees respect the GBC. Why? Because they know that Srila Prabhupada wanted them to be the ultimate managing authority. We all know, especially you are leaders, but even those who are less leaders than you all know that Srila Prabhupada wanted a GBC, right? So often the devotees, I'm talking especially in those years, although they didn't know what the GBC does, or what's the value added by the GBC to the movement, they knew Srila Prabhupada wants a GBC. So this fig leaf is the Uma. You understand Uma? Ultimate managing authority. So you know that Srila Prabhupada said that, and therefore you know we should have a GBC. But often in the life of many, many thousands of devotees, especially non-leaders, GBC almost does not exist. I'm sure even nowadays, most devotees in the world will not be able to tell you who is the chair of the GBC. How many of you know? Well, if you are in the plenary, you know because I introduced Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. How many of you know who was the chair last year? Raise your hand if you know who was the chair last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see, and you are the leaders. You follow? I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying culturally, we don't even know who is the top authority of the GBC. If you were a Catholic Christian, would you know who's the Pope? Probably yes, right? If you were a Catholic, yeah, both of them. So if you are a Catholic, you will know who's the Pope, right? But you see, you are in ISKCON, you don't even know who was the GBC 1 year ago. So you know the expression, the emperor has no clothes, and more than has no clothes, the emperor has no money. Srila Prabhupada said, nobody listened to a poor man, right? Srila Prabhupada said, nobody listened to a poor man. Not only because generally socially there is no respect, but also poor men cannot do much. Cannot travel, cannot build, cannot influence. So the GBC has been for decades devoid of real power. You know what's the budget for every year of the GBC? Shamananda Krishna Prabhu, you're a professional. You're a professor and professional. You know what's the budget of the GBC every year? 5 crores. I wish. 5 crores. He said 5 crores. Yes. Huh? How many of you know what's the budget of the GBC? Yearly budget. It's published in Dandavas. I'm not sharing anything confidential. Huh? About $120,000. $120,000 for the governing body commission of the entire International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So when you give a little bit to a ministry, another to a ministry, another for emergency purpose, another for trial purpose, you got nothing. You can't really do anything with that. And therefore, the sense is that the GBC became more and more weak. More highlights from the period. The Temple President Meeting Board renamed ISKCON Managers Meetings in '86 is defunct, is closed. That was a checks and balance on the GBC. The Temple President will come, will check the resolution. They could remand them. They could say, no, we don't like, go back, decide again. That was removed because they stopped coming. They stopped coming to the Mayapur. Deputies are established. How many of you heard about the GBC deputies? Okay, less than half. The deputies are a body of senior devotees who go through the proposals before they go to the GBC. So they clean them up and they tell the GBC, we like it, we don't like it. But it's different because they cannot stop a resolution. The rise and fall of Harikesh Prabhu. The rise, Harikesh Prabhu once became the GBC chair for 3 years. At the time, he had access to money because Russian disciples, they were doing some some business investment in stocks in Russia. So at one point, he had control of a couple of $1 million because he understood without money you can't really do anything. So, but then there was this crash in Russia. He lost all the money, and then he left his service. And then we have some valiant and defensive action. I'm not here to give you a negative image or anything. I'm here to tell you the history. And the focus of this whole ILS is on what? In one word? The future. Okay? But to create a better future, we also need to understand the past. Okay, so this is what we are doing here. And I strongly believe in the need for a very qualified, very influential, very strong, and very wealthy GBC, Governing Body Commission for the success of ISKCON. So we are analyzing some of the roots, some of the past, but we need to give credit where credit is due. The GBC, against all odds, kept this movement together. They kept meeting year after year. I spoke with a devotee who is a very good sociologist, historian, very bright intellectual. He said, the fact that ISKCON remained together, it's purely a miracle. If you look sociologically, historically, there was almost no chance that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness will remain as united as it is today. So we are already recipient of miracles. And there was some very good, very strong action by the GBC. You heard about the Ritviks. There was a strong movement of people saying, no, we don't need these gurus. They fall down all the time. Better to take shelter directly in Srila Prabhupada. Better to take direct initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And the GBC stood very valiantly, very firmly on this. No, we need gurus. We need living gurus. You can't go Ritvik. And then they even expelled a few. So another very valiant action by the GBC was standing against the Turley case. How many of you heard about the Turley case? So how many of you heard about child abuse in ISKCON? Some of you have never heard about child abuse in ISKCON? Maybe we should do this seminar PG-13 or something. But there was problems in our schools. There were problems in our schools in the 70s, in the 80s. And Anuttam Prabhu can give you 10 seminars on that period. He had to talk with journalists. He had to talk with authorities. What happened? And many of these children or ex-children, now adults, organized and made the court case. And Turley was the name of the advocate, the lawyer in America who organized this. And it was a major challenges. We could have lost how many temples? All of North America. We could have lost all of North America. But somehow the GBC organized and it cost how much? $15 million? Finally. Yeah. So it cost $15 million. Imagine, a body was no budget practically, organizes together with the help of the BBT, with the help of some yatras, including the Indian yatra, gets together $15 million, 15, and saves the temple. So that was valiant. And that's why you need a governing body commission, because there are emergencies. Unfortunately, there was also some socio-theological backpedaling. This is not only in that period, it's also almost to the present. GBC said something. For some reason, this screen doesn't give you the whole slide, but you get the idea. At one point, the GBC said, disciples of living gurus should not initiate it. Then they said, well, actually, it's okay if they do accept disciples. Then after a few years, again, they said, wait a minute, let's talk about it again. Now, I'm not saying which is right, if they should initiate or not initiate, but the fact that in some case, not always, with the Ritviks, they were very strong, very stable, but sometimes the GBC gave this mixed message. They say it's okay, after some time, no, it's not okay anymore, then no, it's okay again. Another topic was, a topic you never heard about, women Diksha Gurus. In 2005, women, if mature and qualified, can initiate disciples. Then in 2009, again, yes, of course, women can indeed be Diksha Gurus. Then in 2015, not so quick. Let's talk about it again. Now, I'm not saying if women should be or should not be Diksha Guru, but I'm just saying that when a governing body commission flip-flops, then people tend to lose some trust. Tend to ask themselves, do these people really know what are they doing or not? Are they really sure what are they deciding or not? Okay. History. Phase 4, 2006, 2020, the dawn of a strategic era. And now I have to put a question mark because we are at the beginning, there are signs, but we have to see if really develops into a future forward focus. So quickly, what happened? October 2006, special emergency meeting just to talk about the future. It was not an emergency because there was a scandal or a court case, but the devotees felt, the GBC felt, we need to talk about the future. So Bhakti Vaibhav Maharaj, who was also the chair at the time, called everybody in Italy, in Prabhupadesh near Venice, and the devotees, here you see Anuttama Prabhu, they spent 3 days talking about the future, what we need to do to leave this movement in the hands of the next generation so that they can maintain it. What us as Srila Prabhupada disciples need to do in this generation before we leave this world. So there were 3 very intense days, very thoughtful, very soul-searching, and as a result of these 3 days, and as a result of the people who came on board, like Gopabhata Prabhu, Rajbihari Prabhu, and so on, this hopefully new phase started in 2006. And how it manifested? It manifested as doubling the yearly meeting. Now, from 2007 to now, already 14 extra meetings were taken to spend time on planning the future. So, from 1 meeting a year to 2. The GBC Strategic Planning Network is being formed. Hold you, can I take the bag? So, you hold the bag. ISKCON Strategic Planning Network was formed and it's still going on. And it created different initiatives, the devotee care, which is still going on. Now they have the course, the GBC Succession Committee, working with different leaders. And great people were brought on board. It was enlarged, the circle. Gauranga Prabhu came on, Rupanuga Prabhu, GBC College President, Chaitanya Tari Prabhu is giving a seminar at this ILS, Tapan Mishra Prabhu, who is taking so many responsibility, Devakinandan Prabhu, now General Counsel of the GBC. So the GBC enlarged its circle and brought so much talent in. Then the Founder Acharya books produced. How many of you read the book? Okay, more than half. That was produced as part of this initiative. The GBC Organizational Development Committee was formed in 2008. The ISKCON Leadership Sanga. How many of you heard about the ISKCON Leadership Sanga? Not everybody, I'm surprised. Not everybody has heard. Some of you must tell you, it's this one. So, and we already have 5 editions. This is the 5th edition. Who was here with us for all the 5 editions? Okay, so you have some veterans and very loyal. Thank you so much. The SDGs. How many of you know what's the SDGs? Okay. It's the Sangha of GBCs, gurus, and sannyasis. For the first time, all of them come together here in Mayapur. This is the first group photo, 2013, for dialogue and collaboration. 4 editions so far, every 2 years. This SDGs generated the Sabha. I'm not afraid asking. How many of you know what's the Sabha? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. The Sabha technically is called the Spiritual Advisors Bhagavata Assembly. It's a body of gurus, sannyasis, women, youths, senior devotees to offer checks and balances on the GBC. They have the power. If the GBC passes a resolution, they don't like it, they can suspend its implementation. But the GBC gave this power. It's not a revolution or anything like that. It's the GBC gave this power for being more accountable to the devotees. Some of them are giving seminars at the ILS. Nishingananda Prabhu, Vrinda Devi, and Druta Karma Prabhu, and others. Bhakti Sagar Maharaj, and so on. Zonal configuration, 168 zones formally identified in the world. The zonal supervisor position created, a cultural shift to standard service descriptions, unified terminology, mandatory training, and therefore also the GBC College was established. How many of you heard about the GBC College? Okay, how many of you studied in the GBC College? Okay, thank you. So, 5 editions of the Zonal Supervisor course in India, participants from all over the world. Russia, 2017-2018, we did another course there. Brazil for the whole Latin America, 2018-2019. Central Asia started in May 2019. We have some devotees from Central Asia. Central Asia devotee, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, they're in the back. In fact, for them, this ILS is part of their GBC College curriculum. So they're here. This is a group photo in Almaty, Kazakhstan. Started in North America, October 2019. Then there was another thing. They created the GDO, Global Duty Officer. How many of you heard about GDO? Okay. GDO, Global Duty Officer. These are devotees who take some international responsibility. And to become a GBC, one has to serve at least as a GDO for 2 years, so that he has that sense of international duties. So basically, who becomes a GBC? There are zonal supervisors, there are other qualified devotees, and some of them become global duty officers, and some of them, not all of them, is not automatic, but some of them becomes GBCs. Promoting system thinking, promoting a culture of seeing things in its wholesomeness. Not seeing only the events, not only seeing the immediate crisis, but seeing what causes those crises, what causes those events. Progress on the ISKCON Constitution, working on draft 4. Anutama Prabhu is one of the members of this committee. We're already working on draft 4. And it's already 100 pages long. And so you'll hear, again, the future. ISKCON general membership defined. This is all part of the strategic area of the GBC. Before, we didn't really know who is an ISKCON member. Now, at least we have a definition. Then, ISKCON Connection launch. That's where people can sign up and say, yes, I want to be an ISKCON member. Discussing Mayapur's future with the Indian leaders. How much should be a responsibility of the GBC? How much should be the local leadership? This dialogue is going on since actually a few years. There are many issues, cultural, legal, and so on. So this is going on. Then, 3 ecosystems concept uncovered, explored, and disseminated. How many of you heard about the 3 ecosystems? Basically, it's an understanding that ISKCON is the sum of the organization, the institution, the social aspects, the families, the personal relations, and the Guru Shishya. It's not just one, it's just not this, and it's just not this. ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is the total of these 3, and This tree needs to be healthy in himself and needs to be harmonized. So this is a work which is going on. The challenges of the first 4 generations. The founder Acharya, his disciples, disciple of his disciples, disciple of his disciples. Historically, sociologically, each generation, not only in ISKCON, but in every religious community, faces some particular challenges. So we are studying these challenges and we are studying the best way to keep this movement together. Working on more effective GBC deployment. You heard about the under 68 zones. Those are for zonal supervisors. How many of you are zonal supervisors? You are. You should go. So we have Sanga Krishna Prabhu, zonal supervisor for Turkey. And we have Shamananda Krishna Prabhu, zonal supervisor for Pakistan. So those are zones for zonal supervisors. But then there is the areas for the GBCs, right? And so here you see the map. There are already 26 areas already identified, already officialized in the official GBC resolutions. For the green, we already have individuals. We already have names and faces. For the yellow, we have the territory, but not yet the name. Okay? So these are 26 GBC areas ratified, 12 area GBCs appointed. You want to see the 12 appointed? Okay. Guru Prasad Maharaj, Mexico, Caribbean, Central America, Virabhau Prabhu, South America, Kavichandra Maharaj, West Africa, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, southern part of Africa, Krupa Krishna Maharaj, West Africa, Bibi Govinda Maharaj, North Africa, Middle East, Giridhari Maharaj, China, Philippines, Ramai Swami, Oceania, and Indonesia. Then we have Bhakti Marg Maharaj, Canada, Alaska, Badrinath Maharaj, west of the United States, Achyutatma Prabhu, northern Russia, and we have Chaitanya Chanda Charan Prabhu, central Russia, Euro region. Okay. And then in 2019, Charter Model Direction accepted. How many of you heard about the Charter Model? Yeah. Only one who is a GBC. You hear more about the Charter Model, but basically it's a grand design of how to strengthen ISKCON. How to strengthen ISKCON by turning implicit agreements into explicit agreements, to strengthen the legal position of ISKCON all over the world, and to allow the GBC to be able to really doing this governing function and to support all of you in your areas. So it's a major project. You'll hear more about this. This was just officially accepted in October. It was very fresh. And we do plan a tour of some of the areas of the world to present this idea. Anuttam Prabhu already committed to be in this tour, and so we are in a dialogue with certain areas of the world in different continents. Okay, so the goal remains the same. Srila Prabhupada said, now cooperate to place this Krishna consciousness movement at the front of all others. That is my request. Personally, I believe that ISKCON can succeed worldwide only if it has a very strong, very functional governing body commission. Otherwise, certainly we could have pockets of excellence, but we will not succeed as a total movement. So the phases, again, these are subjective phases. Other analysts can divide in different ways, but the phases I see in 1970, 1977, Srila Prabhupada is physically present. 1978-1987, the zonal acharya period. 1987, 2006, normalization, routine, reaction to issue problems, second eclipse, and a growing irrelevance. 2006, 2020, the down of the strategic era. So, what's next? I don't know. I know there are some efforts. There are some efforts being made. The charter model is one of them. Trying to recruit very qualified GBC is another of that. We already have, the GBC has, already the GBC has appointed younger devotees, qualified devotees, for instance, Achyutananda Prabhu in Russia, Radhakrishna Prabhu in Hungary. We use in our organizational development committee the expression GBC 2.0. Like an upgrade means the present GBCs have done a tremendous work. They are great preachers, they're great spiritual leaders, and at the same time, we need succession. We need succession. The average age of the GBC is about late 60s. Some are in their 70s. Some are above 75. We need succession. And we need a succession that can address the issue of a new world, a technological world, a connected world, and so on. So there's a lot of room at the top, actually. And statistically, within 5-10 years, we will probably need many more GBCs. So we are in the hunt, and the GBC Nominations Committee has already developed a process for screening, for evaluating new people. Some already are in the process. So I hope you hear more about this. We have 5-6 minutes. Did I rush too much? A bit? 50 years in 50 minutes. So, any question? Who would like to ask a question? 1, 2. Please keep your questions to the point.
Could you please expand the acronym SABHA? I just missed that.
Okay, the SABHA, there is a 16-page document that describes its function and how it works. Is a selection of up to 35 devotees, 12 from gurus and sannyasis, 5 senior devotees, means initiated since at least 30 years, 5 Vaishnavis, 3 youth below 30, and then 10 from different regions of the world, 10 regions of the world. So they're elected or selected in different ways, and they form this group, and they have this power to, if they feel the GBC really passed a resolution which is inappropriate, they can stop the implementation. The GBC can restate that resolution, but at least they have this role. They can propose resolutions to the GBC, proposals to the GBC without GBC sponsorship, and they can propose issues that the GBC should discuss. And if they propose, the GBC should discuss. Of course, the GBC can decide how long they want to spend, but by the ISKCON law, by GBC resolution, they need to discuss. Sabha. Sabha, spiritual advisors, Bhagavata Assembly.
You mentioned here.
By the way, we chose this acronym because Sabha in Sanskrit means council, assembly. So it's both an acronym and a Sanskrit name.
Yeah, you mentioned that initially there are GBC and gurus and all the different problems. In the strategic planning, are we going to separate the gurus and GBC? So, because for a devotee, he feels the gurus are more important than GBC. and for a disciple find difficult to address the administration problem to the guru who is also a GBC. What is the thing going on in this?
I'll give you a personal answer. It's not an official policy answer. I believe that when the process of becoming guru is normalized, standardized through standard systematic training, we will have many, many, many more gurus. So if there are many, many, many more, automatically they'll have less influence because all they'll have is a less number of disciples. Also, it's a question of education. Devotees need to understand how Srila Prabhupada wanted to see this movement, the role of the governing body commission, and it should be eventually a commitment of the gurus to teach not only philosophy, not only spiritual practice, but also the nature and ideals and values of being together in a society. So we're still at the beginning, and I don't see a major problem. Some GBC, I don't see a problem with the GBC are gurus or not gurus. It's a question of education. It's a question of normalizing the position. Some of you remember when we joined, even a second initiated devotee, a Brahmana, was a very big thing. I remember. Now we will call them the Brahmanas, right? The senior devotees, maybe we're 3 years in the movement. How many of you are Brahmanas now? Second initiated? Okay, so practically all of you. So we don't feel so, what do you call, awe and reverence when we see a second initiated devotee. But one time it was. Huh? So again, my personal answer, I see that in the future becoming guru will be much more normal. You take first initiation, you take second initiation, after 7-10 years, you start giving initiation. Huh? I don't know the future, obviously, but I don't know what will happen in the future. If you ask me, I don't think there is need of separating the position between GBC and Guru. It's really not an issue. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you found some stimulating information. Again, it's 50 years of history, and there is so much more that could be said. And if somewhat this disturbed you or perplexed you or you felt some level of negativity, I apologize. But again, be sure that there is a strong drive to create a better future. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Governing Body Commission of ISKCON Ki. Nitai Gaurapurnima. Hare Krishna.